The nation is in a sad mood. An army chief and 10 other gallant officers paid the supreme price in defense of the nation. No thanks to inclement weather at the Kaduna airport Friday evening. May their souls rest in peace. Tonight, our discussion is also security related, though in the land transportation subsector, precisely the rail transport system. As a deliberate effort to reduce traffic on the nation's highways and promote economic activities, the federal government is embarking on massive construction and rehabilitation of the railway subsector. However, this effort is being threatened by frequent cases of vandalism of locomotive railway sleepers, leading to accidents and additional cost to the federal government, either through replacement or maintenance. In view of this sad development, I should say, Weekend File this week looks at measures put in place to check and possibly curtail this security-threatening trend. My guest is Ney Ali, Director of Operations, Nigerian Railway Corporation. He will join me later from our Lagos studio. Welcome to Weekend File. I'm Joseph Johnson. Let's bring you the news first. The remains of the Chief of Army Staff, late Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and other officers and men of the Nigerian military who died in a plane crash have been interred at the National Military Cemetery, Abuja. Defense correspondent Najatu Tijani reports.
Barely 3 months after the burial of 7 Nigerian Air Force personnel who died in a Nigerian Air Force Beechcraft during a routine surveillance mission, the nation is also witnessing again a similar event with a burial to take place at this same venue, the National Military Cemetery here in Abuja. In heartfelt tributes to their gallantry, President Buhari, represented by the Minister of Defense and the Chief of Defense Staff, praised the daily sacrifice the armed forces of Nigeria makes for the country, citing and urging love for country as the motivating factor.
The late Chief of Army Staff inspired courage and confidence in the Nigerian Army, which informed the successes recorded during his watch. He led the Nigerian Army from the front and was a source of inspiration worthy of emulation by all officers and men.
Remember, it is love for country. To the able, gallant, and courageous officers and men of the armed forces of Nigeria, as we mourn our colleagues, let us march on in the determination to defend our country against every form of threat. Your spirit is unquenchable.
Family members mourn the demise of the gallant officers described as some of the finest minds in the military and who were on their way to attend the passing out parade of the Depot Nigerian Army. As the gallant officers are interred, Nigerians are urged to always remember their sacrifice. Najatu Tijani, NTA News.
Well, before the burial at the National Military Cemetery, a prayer session was held at the National Mosque and the Air Force Protestant Church in Abuja in honor of the late Chief of the Army Staff and the 10 others separately. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
Arrival of this ambulance conveyed the remains of late Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru and 5 others signals the commencement of the Muslim funeral prayers led by the Chief Imam, National Mosque, Abuja. The religious cleric described the supreme price paid by the departed Army Chief and his entourage as a divine call and urged Nigerians to pray for the repose of their souls.
My advice to we that we remain, beginning from me and my brother and all others that are listening to us today, you should know that when, where, and how we are going to die, nobody knows except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Similar service was held for officers of the Christian faith, where the clergy urged Nigerians to remain steadfast in the nation's trying moment and appeal for continued prayers for those in the front line.
They live all their life fighting for the rest of Nigeria in peace. And we glorify their effort, their sacrifices and service to this nation. Hear our prayer. Give us your consolation in this moment of bereavement.
Emotional sights, but comforted by the deeds of the departed, family members say. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The late Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru was born on 10th August 1966 in Doka, Kaduna North Local Government Area, Kaduna State. He was the 25th Chief of Army Staff, Nigeria, and a graduate of the Nigerian Defense Academy, Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Jaji, and Nigerian Army School of Infantry. Ismail Musa again reports.
I present myself as your Chief of Army Staff to get to meet you and you get to know me as well.
The late Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru was born on 10th August 1966 in Doka, Kaduna North Local Government Area, Kaduna State. He was the 25th Chief of Army Staff, a graduate of the Nigerian Defense Academy, Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Jaji, and Nigerian Army School of Infantry.
I can assure you that we'll overcome.
And was commissioned into the rank of second lieutenant in December 1986 as an infantry officer. He held a master's degree in strategic management and policy studies from the Nigerian Defense Academy, Masters of Science in Human Resources Management and Development from the Salford University in the United Kingdom, and a graduate diploma in international studies from the University of Nairobi, Kenya. He served as the 25th Chief of Army Staff of the Nigerian Army from 26 January 2021 to 21st May 2021. On the 1st May 2021, he died in a plane crash in Kaduna, Nigeria. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
The, of course, later Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru was the 21st Chief of Army Staff, Nigeria. Kaduna still in shock over the demise of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru. Residents have been paying glowing tribute to the gallant officer who ensured peace and security of the country. Haruna Mohammed reports that the deceased family, housed in Kaduna metropolis, continues to receive sympathizers to offer prayers for the repose of his soul.
Sardauna Crescent is a standstill as residents of the area and beyond are mourning the death of Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru. Meanwhile, some associates of the late Chief of Army Staff of more than 2 decades say he was humble, gentle and friendly.
Nigerian Army or Nigerian General will definitely miss him. He's a gallant soldier, an infantry soldier for that matter. He's well disciplined, very dedicated to his work, and very, very obedient.
Attahiru is a very good somebody, very friendly, very accommodative. He has been good to people within his community.
He has a very, very good vision for Nigerian Army, and he knew what he was doing. He's a gallant soldier, dedicated, disciplined, well articulated. You can say anything about Attahiru. He is an officer and a gentleman.
The deceased and others who lost their lives in the air mishap have been buried in Abuja. Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari is deeply saddened over the air crash that claimed the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, and other military officers. The President condoles with families of the deceased, the military and Nigerians in general, describing them as, quote, heroes who paid the ultimate price for peace and security in the land. While praying that God receives the souls of the patriots, the President says the crash is one mortal blow to our underbelly at a time our armed forces are poised to end the security challenges facing the country. The President pledged that the deported would not die in vain. Meanwhile, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said he received the news of the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and other military officers in an air crash yesterday with great sadness. The Vice President describes their death while in active service in the defense of the country as a reflection of the depth of sacrifice Nigerian military officers, men and women of the other ranks, are often prepared to make. The gallantry of these heroes, the Vice President said, would always be remembered. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo joined the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces to commiserate with families, friends and colleagues of these gallant officers and men who died in the crash, and prayed that God grants them the fortitude to bear their irreparable loss. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, on behalf of members of the Federal Executive Council, has described as shocking and painful the news of the fatal air crash that claimed the lives of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and other officers. In a condolence message, the SGF expressed the consensus of all members of the FEC on the passion and professionalism with which General Ibrahim Atahiru discharged the responsibilities of his office, especially the prosecution of internal security operations across the country. Boss Mustafa also conveyed the condolences of members of FEC to President Muhammadu Buhari, members of the Defense and Security Forces, as well as government and people of Kaduna State. Meanwhile, APC chieftain Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu says the death of the Chief of Army Staff and 10 others is an unspeakable loss for the nation. Asiwaju Tinubu condoled with President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian Army, the Defense Headquarters and families of the deceased military officers over the unfortunate incident. Condolences are already pouring in for the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru. Onengie Fineface put together some of the messages.
The President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has expressed deep sadness over what he described as the tragic death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and other military officers killed in an air crash on Friday while on official trip to Kaduna. In a statement by the Special Advisor to the President of the Senate on Media and Publicity, Ola Awoniyi, Senator Lawan says the tragedy is a national disaster of immense proportion that has thrown the entire nation into mourning. He extended his heartfelt condolence to the Chief of Defense Staff and the entire members of the Armed Forces of Nigeria. Meanwhile, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, has described as shocking and sad the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and others in a plane crash Friday evening in Kaduna. Gbajabiamila said the death of the Army Chief was unfortunate, coming at a time that the Nigerian military was finding solutions to the security challenges in the country. He said having taken over from the immediate past Chief of Army Staff a couple of months ago, Atahiru has shown a lot of commitment in tackling the security situation in the country. In a related development, the Northern Governors Forum has also expressed deep shock over the air crash that has killed the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, his aides and crew members in Kaduna. Chairman of the forum and Governor of Plateau State, Simon Bakola Long, in a statement said the forum is distressed over the sad incident which claimed the lives of the Army Chief and other officers and men of the Nigerian Armed Forces who were on an official assignment in the course of advancing the security and peace of the country. Meanwhile, the Kaduna State government has received with immense sadness news of the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and other military officers. A statement by the Commissioner, Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, quotes Governor El-Rufai as saying, Lieutenant General Atahiru was a shining star whose sudden death has robbed Nigeria of an officer striving to bring new drive to secure the country against terrorists and other threats to national security. Similarly, the All Progressives Congress has joined Nigerians in expressing deep shock over the report of a fatal air crash of Nigerian Air Force plane conveying the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and other military personnel. National Secretary Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee of the APC, John James Akpanodwede, in a statement said, while the air crash is being investigated, the APC commiserates with President Muhammadu Buhari, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Nigerian military, and the families of the deceased for the tragic loss of the officers who have gallantly served the nation with honor and dignity.
Onangia Fine First reporting there. Governors received the news of the plane crash with shock as they send in emotion-laden condolence messages as compiled by Ruth Agwale.
The Nigeria Governors Forum is pained by the passing of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, and other gallant military officers and men at the Kaduna air crash, and commiserated with the entire nation over the unfortunate incident. Similarly, Yobe State Governor and Chairman APC Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, May Malabuni, is heartbroken and deeply saddened by the unfortunate air crash. Kano State Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje has expressed deepest condolences over the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, along with other officers. Governor Ganduje also condoled on behalf of the government and people of Kano with the families of Brigadier General Abdurrahman Kulia, Chief of Military Intelligence and Indigene of the state, who is one of the senior military officers that died. For Governor Abubakar Sani Bello of Niger State, the late Chief of Army Staff has within his short time in the office demonstrated and showed remarkable commitment and professionalism in the course of discharging his duty. Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu describes the death as huge loss to the nation, saying, brilliant officers, particularly Lieutenant General Atahiru, who displayed his worth within the short time he served as Chief of Army Staff. Governor of Ebonyi State and Chairman Southeast Governors Forum, Chief David Umahi, sends condolences to President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian Army, and the bereaved families of the ill-fated plane crash. While condoling President Buhari and the families of the departed heroes, Zamfara State Governor Bello Mohammed recalled with nostalgia the last News Service Chief's visit to Zamfara State early February, where the late Ibrahim Atahiru assured government and people of the state of his commitment to ending banditry and other criminalities bedeviling the state and the country. The governor of Osun State, Adeboyega Oyetola, has described the death of the Chief of Army Staff and other officers as shocking and devastating. Oyetola condoles with President Muhammadu Buhari and the families of the deceased, urging Nigerians not to mourn like unbelievers. The governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, says he is saddened by the catastrophic crash that claimed the life of Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiru, who on March 23rd visited the government house in Port Harcourt and with clarity articulated his vision and strategy to end insurgency in the country. For the Buhari Media Organization, it is a tragic moment for the entire country. BMO says General Atahiru offered no excuses or tried to buy time, but instead injected intensity and urgency into the fight against the enemies of the country. They paid the supreme price for the country they loved and served unreservedly, and which they elected to defend with their lives. Ruth Agwele, NTA News.
Similarly, the Minister of Police Affairs, Mohammed Maigari Dingyadi, has described the Friday air crash as deeply painful and unfortunate. Mohammed Dingyadi applauded the professional prowess of the late Chief of Army Staff, who piloted the leadership of the Nigerian Army with courage and quest for result during his career, as evident in the successes recorded in the war against terrorism and other violent criminalities. Since his appointment by President Muhammadu Buhari in January 2021, the minister also condoled with the families of other brilliant officers who died in the plane crash. In the same vein, Minister of Women Affairs Dame Pauline Tallinn says the death of the Chief of Army Staff and other gallant officers is shocking especially as at a time the nation is grappling with so many security challenges. Nigerian women joined President Buhari in mourning the departed fine military men. The minister, on behalf of Nigerian women and children, commiserate with their families, colleagues and friends of these great Nigerians who have paid the ultimate price in service to their motherland. The Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge rail line is set for inauguration. Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amechi at the inspection tour says President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to perform the inauguration ceremony on the 10th of June this year. Oyinaya Kalwaka reports.
Minister of Transportation Chibuike Rotimi Amechi arrived in the mega station to kickstart the inspection tour from Lagos to Ogun and Oyo states, covering the 386-kilometer tracks. His major concern stepping out of the vehicle is the level of completion.
Are you ready? This is our last question. Are you ready? You're ready for commission? Because you see, it's going to visit the president by giving us middle week of June. We'll come again. The next time it's just here, it's commission. We'll agree to that.
The inspection tour took the minister and his team to the 10 stations.
You will see that the 10 or 11 stations are almost ready. Some of the underpasses are ready.
In fact, even if we want to commission within the next 10 days, we should be able to do it by mobilizing additional hands. So we are going to be on the contractor's neck to make sure that they achieve the target.
At the APM terminals, Apapa, with 8 new standard gauge tracks added and 3 narrow gauge tracks rehabilitated.
We intend to move cargoes from the seaport up to Ibadan. So some people may have to move their cargoes to Kano from Ibadan.
It has been breathtaking. Like seriously, we need this kind of development, you understand?
This is said to be the last inspection tour of the double-track standard gauge rail line, as President Buhari is expected to perform the inauguration ceremony on the 10th of June 2021. Oyinaya Kalwaka, NTA News.
And that subject matter will be a focus when we return from this break. Do stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Railway Police, a name or unit that many are not familiar with, but it exists. On this basis, and in view of the rising cases of vandalism of railway locomotive sleepers, our transportation correspondent Oyinaya Kalwaka finds out how effective or otherwise of the Railway Police.
With the revival of the Nigerian railway system, security personnel of the Nigerian Police Force and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps were deployed across railway corridors, stations and trains to provide security and safety for passengers and infrastructure. In the train stations, inside the train, their presence are visible. But can that be said of the tracks? With constant vandalism of railway key components, daily reports trickles in of one act of vandalism or the other across the country, in both the narrow and standard gauge. More than 100,000 clips and hundreds of railway sleepers are reportedly vandalized in the last 2 years.
We have made over 50 arrests. We currently have 20 cases in Federal High Court, and we have about 45 cases that have not yet been filed, carrying out investigations on others because we are yet to arrest the primary suspects.
The effectiveness of railway policing of infrastructure, observers maintain, needs to be scaled up, and the criminal justice system as well as penalties strengthened for offenders. Yet another question: how possible is it to achieve an effective policing of rail infrastructure with most rail tracks sited in secluded areas with lack of adequate manpower and facilities?
We are in the process of employing drones, and we are working with the NRC also on the possibility of using satellite imagery.
The Nigerian Railway Corporation maintains an internal security system. This, many believe, should be enhanced with more training and monitoring. Oyinaya Kalwaka, NTA News.
From Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed reports that stakeholders are worried that the frequent vandalism of rail tracks is creating a setback to the federal government, of course with the efforts at reviving rail service in Nigeria.
The deliberate effort towards reducing the pressure on the nation's highway and enhance socio-economic activities, the Buhari administration embarks on massive construction and rehabilitation of the rail subsector. This effort is, however, being threatened by the frequent vandalism of railway sleepers and clips. The recent vandalism of locomotive rail track on a Lagos-Kano narrow gauge that led to the train wagon derailment and emptying its content in Kaduna is a clear example. It has been fixed and services restored, but at a cost to the federal government.
Vandals are always removing these pandro clips, selling them in scrap markets around Kaduna.
You can imagine the inspection we carried out today towards Kaduna South here on the bridge, on the railway bridge there. We counted more than 500 clips missing. In fact, we saw some. In fact, there was a particular one that they could not finish removing. You are the one that returned it.
Only recently, the Kaduna State Police Command apprehended 5 suspected rail track vandals at Dale village of Jamal local government area and recovered 2 trucks loaded with locomotive railway sleepers.
I am sure when they are picking the clips, people are seeing them. And we will expect that people should support NRC to get rid of the people doing all these things.
Others are of the view that communities along the rail track can do a lot in protecting the critical national asset for easy and safe transportation of goods and services, which will in turn ease pressure on the highway. In Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
Let's bring in our guest now, who is in our Lagos Network Center, in person of Ni Ali, Director of Operations, Nigerian Railway Corporation. You're welcome to NTA Weekend File.
Thank you. Thank you.
To our conversation, let's just get a general situation report of the state of railway system in Nigeria.
The railway system in Nigeria, the federal government has spent a lot of fund on it in the last number of years. As you're well aware, the Abuja-Kaduna Railway is one of the most popular services in Nigeria at the moment. The Warri-Takpe train service is up and running for both passenger and freight services. The Lagos-Ibadan, we're just coming from there now. We did an inspection, and like the reporter just said, we intend to commission that next month. So there is a lot of progress in the railway sector at the moment, both for passengers and freight. At the moment, as you saw in this previous clip as well, we are moving pipes from Lagos to Zaria, pipes from Warri to Takpe, and also container traffic from Lagos to Kano. Unfortunately, the issue of the vandalization of tracks has become a very sad one, and it's something that we are trying our best to tackle. Obviously, there are 2 issues here. There's the issue of the damage to the critical infrastructure, and also the impact of that on the train service and our ability to provide the service.
Yes, like you said, lots of controversies have been trailing issues relating to rail track vandalism. How effective is the railway police in the protection of the tracks?
I think there's a bigger problem here, and that is there's over 3,500 kilometers of narrow gauge track, another about 600 kilometers, no, almost 700 kilometers of standard gauge track, and that's still continuing. And a lot of this track actually goes through what I would call the bush, rural areas. Now, it's very difficult to man those kind of places 24 hours a day. We have patrols, both with the Nigerian Police Force, the Railway Command. We also engage the state commands when necessary. We have the Civil Defense Corps, and sometimes even the military. But it's like I said, 24 hours a day in the middle of the night. It's extremely difficult to cover those places 24/7.
Are there, I mean, I'm just thinking, are there roles communities play in protecting the railway?
I think historically what we tend to do is ensure that the local community contribute towards the security, let me use that word, of the railway by ensuring that, number one, most of our lengthmen, those are the people that patrol the track, come from the local community where the track is actually situated. And then also there's that interaction, stakeholder interaction with the community itself. So that also ensures that the community has a stake in the protection of those assets. And that's what we've always done, and that's what we still do. We will continue to intensify our efforts towards that. As you can see, most of the places, we go into those places, we talk to the local community. We ensure the local community understand the benefits that the railway will bring to their environment. And we will continue to do that. And I think with this awareness, we will start to engage more and ensure that the community feel part of the railway system. And I think that would actually help, as well as other means of technology that could be deployed to the railway.
All right, we'll just pause here for now and take some messages. And when we return, we'll look at other aspects. Stay with us. You're still watching NTA Weekend File with me, Joseph Johnson. Now, a sense of ownership needs to be given to communities where the railways are situated to ensure the protection of facilities such as the rail lines. But is this obtainable in the communities? Lanre Bele from the Lagos-Ibadan Rail Lines reports.
One of the major challenges being experienced in the rail sector in Nigeria is the act of vandalism, as some unscrupulous elements tamper with the rail lines of communities close to the railway station in Akinyele local government area of Oyo State, which serves as Lagos-Ibadan rail line. The challenge now, however, is how these lines could be protected in order to ensure adequate maintenance and improvement of the system.
We have effort of these vigilante people, all these Amotekun and others security agents. So we were together, meeting together, do everything together to make sure there won't be any problem before they start.
We have met the seasonal ruler here, and arrangement is top gear to make sure that we protect these projects, because it increases our socio-economics of this state.
We as the local government representative, we are there to protect the government project, we are there to protect the life, we are there to ensure that things are going smoothly.
This is another means of protecting one's investment, that is their view, because the railway station is going to improve the socio-economic life of this community on a whole new level. From Ibadan, Lanre Bele, NTA News.
And possible loss of lives of passengers on board to total disruption of services are some of the dangers associated with vandalism of rail tracks and infrastructure. To protect these legacies, Lagos residents are recommending a stronger synergy with communities, deployment of technology and fixing of sensors on rail line network in the country. Michael Olaleye reports.
The commencement of commercial services on the standard gauge on the 7th of December 2020 was a sign of answered prayer for Ben Fajemilua, who has endured 15 years of unpredictability on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway.
It was very timely, very timely, very safe.
With a monthly passenger traffic of 10,000 in less than a year, the rail system of transportation has come to stay along the corridor. Now, let's try visualize the spectrum of opportunities and possibilities that have been unlocked along the Lagos-Ibadan rail line and try imagining the likely dangers if some individuals should vandalize this enduring legacy.
They are destroying the economy of the nation through that.
The Lagos-Ibadan rail line is not immune to acts of vandalism. Sometime in December 2019, the Nigerian Railway Corporation complained that boats and clippers were removed from tracks on the narrow gauge.
When you vandalize tracks and the train comes on it, there's a risk now. If it's a passenger train,
people will definitely, there will be casualty.
Community engagements and synergy, surveillance and monitoring are strategies the Railway Corporation is currently employing. But respondents want premium to be placed on technology.
We should form some vigilante, just like we did in the protection of the pipelines. Then we have smart engineering. By smart engineering, it means that we have to bring some sort of cameras along this track line, whereby anybody tampering with the rail track should be identified immediately.
Nigerians should take ownership of public infrastructure because the effect of a possible damage or loss will be heavily felt by all. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Let's now resume our conversation. I still have with me from our Lagos Network Center, of course, Ni Ali, Director of Operations, Nigerian Railway Corporation. So let's talk about sensitization, right? What does your corporation do to sensitize Nigerians on the dangers of vandalism of rail tracks?
Like I said earlier, the major issue here is getting people to understand the dangers. And what we do is go into the communities along the rail track and sensitize them. We actually go to, like you saw there, to the royal fathers, the leaders of the communities. We ensure that we engage them, let them realize, like was shown there, that these things will bring benefit to the communities. We do employment from the community, and we ensure that they understand the dangers of the rail track. Trespassing is one of the major problems we face. Second is now becoming actual cutting and removing of the track infrastructure. And these are things that, has been said there, are extremely dangerous to smooth train operations, smooth and safe train operations.
Do you actually penalize those vandalizing, the rail tracks? What are the penalties?
The first thing is, even being on the rail track itself is a trespass offense. I mean, you're not supposed to be on the rail track in the first place. Now, that's number one. Number two, actually going and vandalizing the rail track is also a criminal offense. And as we said earlier on, the police have the right, the civil defense have the right to arrest and prosecute people with the support of Nigerian Railway Corporation. And Nigerian Railway Corporation will always support and press for the maximum charges to be brought against anybody caught perpetrating that act.
Well, let's talk about what's the level of security in these areas, the level of security of Nigerian railway system.
Let's start from talking about the track itself. Now, what we've designed is a system, as you saw on the standard gauge railway there, whereby the track is actually pinned down with a particular type of clip that cannot be removed without a special tool. So that is one of the first things that we're doing to ensure that, you cannot easily remove parts of the track. Unlike on the narrow gauge, where it was just a clip that you could bang out. So what we're doing there as well is actually tack welding, and that's actually a process where we are permanently welding the clips into place. And what we then found, all of a sudden, is that people are now actually cutting the rail and banging the rail out. Now, it's like it's a continuous process by which we are thinking of how to stop people coming to the track. There's also technology available. We're talking about drone technology, satellite imagery technology, and ensuring that, once these people are at site, we can see it and we can respond as quickly as possible, and hopefully we'll catch them in the act and prosecute them.
All right, so are there, in all of this, are there additional measures that could be taken for safer journeys?
In terms of safer journeys, obviously, yes, there's, we try to make the risk as low as reasonably possibly. One of the things we do is patrol the tracks regularly. So before a train actually moves, I can assure you that, we would actually inspect the track. Most times we happen to find these things and report them and we repair them before the journeys are made. Unfortunately, like you showed, occasionally they happen just before the train arrives, and these guys are smart. They actually go and look at when the inspection has been done and come just after that. But we're getting smarter too. And what I want to tell the vandals is we will catch you eventually, and we will make sure that Nigerians enjoy safe and reliable train services in this country.
Yeah, so just recently we understand that some offenders were arrested in Kaduna. What's the latest concerning those ones? Have they been prosecuted?
Yes, they've been handed over to the police. The police are conducting their investigation. The case has been charged to court. The offenders have been remanded in custody. And like I said earlier, we'll ensure that the authorities get the full support of the Nigerian Railway Corporation to ensure that these guys or these people are given the highest possible penalties under the law for the offense they've committed.
There were times we saw in social media, we saw you see Nigerians hanging on rail lines, and it was quite disturbing. Is that a situation? Do we still see that situation happening?
Oh, no, I've not seen that in a number of years now, fortunately. It's always a function of supply and demand. I think the problem then was that, a lot of people wanted to travel by rail and we didn't have the capacity to carry them. But with the recent developments in standard gauge, Lagos-Ibadan, Warri-Takpe, that's a thing of the past. Hopefully we'll not see that again. If anybody thinks they want to ride on top of a train now, we'll definitely catch you before you get up there. And we have means of ensuring that people don't even get up there anymore. So, yeah, we're increasing our capacity to meet the supply, to meet the demand, rather.
We just hope that ugly trend will not reoccur. But just finally, what would be your last words for Nigerians concerning the subject matter?
I think Nigerians should be encouraged by what's happened in the rail sector in terms of the development, the infrastructural development, the increase in capacity, the number of services that we are running, both passengers and freight. The issue of vandalism, to me, is a temporary one, which we'll definitely overcome. But even while it is ongoing, we can assure Nigerians that the Nigerian Railway Corporation is doing everything to ensure that we continue to provide safe and reliable train services. The train services will continue to go on. We will ensure that we will patrol the track before every train moves and ensure that even if there is a case of vandalism, we will discover it before a train actually gets to that particular spot. So I'd like Nigerians to continue to patronize our services, and I'm sure that they'll enjoy the ride on the train.
All right, thank you very much, Ni Ali, Director of Operations, Nigerian Railway Corporation. It's been very insightful speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it on the discussion segment. Let's just bring you a few more stories, because the People's Democratic Party has expressed grief by the death of the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, and other officers in a military plane crash on Friday. A statement by the party's spokesperson describes General Attahiru and the other officers as heroes who gave their lives for the security of the nation, adding that the tragic incident is a huge blow to Nigeria. The party commiserates with the military high command, the families of Lieutenant General Attahiru and the other officers and men who have paid the supreme price for the security of the nation, and praise God to give them the fortitude to bear the loss. The Acting Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Khalid Baba, has condoled with the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian Armed Forces, families and friends of the late Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Attahiru, other military officers and crew who died in the unfortunate mishap while on national assignment A statement by the Force Public Relations Officer Frank Mba says the IGP is saddened by the fact that the late Chief of Army Staff died while on a patriotic mission to advance the cause of peace and save the lives of others. The IGP described him as an exceptional military strategist, a friend of inestimable value, and an excellent partner in the ongoing fight against insurgency and other security challenges in the country. The IGP noted that the late Chief of Army Staff represented the best in the military tradition of courage, forthrightness, discipline, professional excellence, passion, and national service and strategic leadership. The IGP urged the members of the Nigerian Armed Forces not to allow the tragic incident to dampen their morale, but to remain focused in the collective quests at restoring law and order in the country. Let's take another break. Do stay with us. Let's talk sports now with Ayodeji Makinde. Ayodeji.
Thanks, Joseph. We'll begin with the gentlemen's game, where 70 aspiring golfers and tennis players have benefited from a one-day golf and tennis development clinic at the IBB International Golf and Country Club, Abuja. The clinic afforded participants the opportunity to be enlisted into the sports, while also being introduced to the rudiments of golf and tennis.
The clinic actually is designed to encourage newcomers, people that have not played either tennis or golf before, or even those that have played but they want to improve on their skills.
But this helps me a lot to interact, meet with people of my age, people older than me, and I'm comfortable in this place. I'm playing the game of golf.
Now let's move on to football, where Atletico Madrid edged City rivals Real Madrid to the La Liga title after coming from behind to beat Real Valladolid 2-1 in the final game of the season. Goals from Angel Correa and Luis Suarez turned the match around in the second half to give Atletico their first title in 7 years and their 11th overall. Meanwhile, Real Madrid scored twice late in the game to beat Villarreal 2-1. But came up short as they needed Atletico to drop points. In the English Premier League, the title race and fight is already won and lost, but the final day of the season will see teams battle for European slots and strong finish on Sunday, with Chelsea, Liverpool and Leicester City still in the hunt for UEFA Champions League qualification. All matches will be played simultaneously, with the encounter between Leicester City and Tottenham Hotspur live on NTA Sports Channel from 4 in the evening. And now 8 matches will be played on Sunday across different venues in the Nigeria Professional Football League, as Kano Pillars will visit Katsina United at the Muhammadu Diko Stadium, Katsina. Adamawa United welcome Warri Wolves to the Pantamis Stadium. MFMFC take on Lobby Stars of Makudi in Lagos, as Nasarawa United play hosts to Heartland FC of Owerri at the Lafia Township Stadium. Meanwhile, Eyimba International of Aba need to overcome a 3-goal deficit to progress into the semi-final of the CAF Confederation Cup as they take on Egyptian side Pyramids on Sunday. In the second leg of the quarterfinals, Pyramids are coming into the match with a 4-1 first leg advantage after the People's Elephants lost in Cairo last week Sunday. And that's your sports. It's back to Joseph.
Thank you, Ayodeji. And that's NTA Weekend File for this week. Thank you very much indeed for your company. I'm Joseph Johnson. Remember to be a star. Connect with the NTA to stand against rape and rapists. Bye-bye.